As regards the terrorists, yes, I'm happy. And the villagers themselves said they saw terrorists that died as a result of the strike.
Yeah.
In fact, Riley Moore, the lawmaker in America, was one of those that said, oh, we got a good report from the strike that it did affect them. The villagers are happy, they're feeling relieved. So for all of those that first argued in the first place, that why would they strike Sokoto? It's supposed to be Boronu, that argument nullified. For people like Sheikh Gumi with all of his incendiary comments, hope he understands that we need to be able to fight terrorism.
Residents of Masalachi in Tangaza local government area in Sokoto state say they saw terrorists fleeing neighboring forests after the Christmas Day strikes by the United States military. The residents who confirmed that several of the terrorists were killed by the strikes on Kawuri, Kamdam and Malgam and their hideouts destroyed are calling for more presence of security forces to wipe out the terrorists from their enclaves. Arise News crew visited communities in Tangaza to give an update on the impact of the strikes and mood of the community. Let's take a look.
This is Gidan Madi, the headquarters of Tangaza local government area. And behind me is Ruawuri. It is an international road that leads to Sahel countries like Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali. Now, while it opens up business opportunities for Nigerians and other West Africans, its boundaries have become a haven for Lakurawa terrorists who often attack neighboring communities. Ruawuri is a long and lonely road cutting through communities in Tangaza, Sokoto North Senatorial District. The local government area houses border communities to Sahelian countries and since 2020 have come under intense attack by the Lakurawa sect. They are a terrorist group strongly linked to ISIS and other terror groups in the Sahel. It is to eliminate these terrorists that the United States fired several missiles at Tangaza on Christmas Day. These exclusive drone images taken after the strike show the terrorist valley hideouts in Kawuri, Kandam and Malgam. Both communities have been cordoned by security operatives who are presently undertaking clearance operations within the vicinity, particularly to guard against unexploded missiles and blasts of improvised explosive devices planted by the terrorists. These residents of Masalachi, neighbors to Kawuri and Malgam, relieved their experiences of the Christmas night strikes. They confirmed the deaths of several terrorists and say no innocent resident was killed.
We had a loud sound 3 times that shocked the foundation of our houses, and later we saw fire. It was later we realized that the fire was in Lakurawa terrorist base in Kahuri. Honestly, this is a welcome development.
While the number of terrorists eliminated cannot be ascertained at the moment, residents say many of the Lakurawa terrorists were seen fleeing on motorcycles.
I am very happy about the U.S. government. Like most of our people in this community, this strike has sent panic into the Lakurawa camp, as our neighboring communities confirmed to us that they have seen the remnant of the Lakurawa terrorists fleeing their base in Kawuri, Kandam and Malgam, where they have dug a well and have as a permanent camp.
Kabir Dogo sells local herbs. He says his business was greatly affected by the Lakurawa terrorists.
The activities of the Lakurawa terrorists has affected my trade. Aside selling traditional herbal medicine, I used to have a monkey and hyena that I used to entertain people and attract customers to buy my medicine. The Lakurawa killed both the monkey and the hyena and almost took my life. They have disrupted my business and make life difficult for me.
While the sect holds extreme religious opinions with which they oppress the locals, it is their impact on economic activities like rustling of livestock that have had more negative impact on the people.
I used to be a trader selling provision in my village, but the activities of Lakurawa in my village has rendered my community has been sacked by the Lakurawa. I was panicked by the report of bombing, fearing it may affect my community people, but thank God that did not happen.
As speculations about the success of the Christmas Day strikes are put to rest, Correspondents say it is time for security operatives to move in and occupy the ungoverned spaces.
Rufai, this one in a mix of politics, insecurity news, and of course the economy, with starting off with the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy talking about how the attack against the fight against terrorism should not affect investor confidence negatively. And then of course that report brought to us by Ferdinand, who's now gone on ground to see what's happening, interviewing a few of the locals. Your take on some of these stories this morning?
So a couple of things. Yes, it's right. Wale Adu sound on the right note by telling global investors that, yeah, we're fighting terrorism, which is just only the case to tell them. And that's what is happening. We're not at war. That's a little bit dicey because when you look at it, people, when they give you the data, Nigeria has been at war for over 10 to 15 years since 2009. And there's a great war we're fighting with terrorists. But like somebody that will have to reassure investors, you have to put our minds down. But I think what is most important, and another gray area that he needs to also assure investors, is the sanctity of doing business in Nigeria, and which relates to these tax laws we're talking about. After all of the analysis, then the National Assembly says they were going to re-gazette. What we're asking for is let us see the harmonized copy that they pushed out before now and compare with the gazetted copy. So these attempts to re-gazette is just pulling wool in our eyes. In fact, some people have said it confirms that something was actually manipulated in the tax laws. The likes of Chidion and Kalu, in fact, papers like People's Gazette, other media outlets have been able to say, oh, it just shows that they're pulling wool in our eyes. Yes, Taiwo Edele went to see President Tinubu in the course of the weekend. They said we're going ahead with January. We're going ahead with something in January where there are a lot of skirmishes around. And people are asking questions that have not been answered. So if you're talking about transparency and accountability with wanting people to pay taxes, how about transparency and accountability as regards to processing? Because foreign nations or foreign parties and businesses that want to come and invest, we also have it at the back of their mind that these tax laws were shrouded in a lot of inconsistencies. And I think these are things we need to reassure the investing public about. So you just say in the National Assembly, oh, why we still look at it, we're going to go ahead and re-gazette, then you just put a wool in our eyes. We want transparency and accountability. That's why Atiku Abubakar is still making it a front burner topic. That's why other people are still talking about it. We just want things to be done properly in this country. So this attempt of, okay, let's soldier on. And for what it's worth, I hear the president is not going to be in town. He's out of town. So we just want to soldier on, push it till January, as against what the people are saying. And you say this is a democracy? You have no restraints, you have no respect for them, for their hopes and aspirations, for the level of transparency that they ask. If you do it, you might be able to bamboozle your way. But these are the things that dampens the integrity of any government. And with all of these processes, the integrity is highly dampened. I mean, it's not today we've made corrections to the tax laws. We did it in the Finance Act, but we didn't get all of this brouhaha. The Finance Act in 2020 actually did review some of the caps in the tax laws. All we're just saying is that there should be a level of integrity, and that is what is missing here. As regards to terrorists, yes, I'm happy. And the villagers themselves said they saw terrorists that died as a result of the strike.
Yeah.
In fact, Riley Moore, the lawmaker in America, was one of those that said, oh, we got a good report from the strike that it did affect them. The villagers are happy, they're feeling relieved. So for all of those that first argued in the first place, that why would they strike Sokoto? It's supposed to be Boronu, that argument nullified. For people like Gumi with all of his incendiary comments, hope he understands that we need to be able to fight terrorism. And if we don't fight terrorism, Nigeria won't be free. So with all of his comments that he will have rather we have Turkey do the work by calling the American terrorists and saying, no, we don't want unholy hands to come. For good measure, if I can extrapolate this talk about unholy hands, Turkey too has skirmishes going on. And it's not all huru for them. What we are saying is, how can we stop this insecurity ravaging our country, causing destruction of lives and property? I think that should be the priority. And for all of those that are telling their darns that, oh, it's against us. No, it's because we want results. And I'm sure they can watch this video done by Ferdinand, that the villagers are actually happy for it. So we must be careful in phrasing this narrative.
As for Tangaza residents saying that there were killings, now in any form of military action, you must expect collateral damage. You must expect that there will be, casualties. If the United States unleashed about a dozen Tomahawk missiles, Professor Mensham, in his commentary, a leading American professor of political science, has told us in a commentary, although he says America is committing suicide because America is not omnipotent, and that Nigeria should go and sort out its problems. He was saying that one missile costs about $2 million. So the US will spend about $24 million, not to talk of other logistics financing, just to come and waste resources. Of course, there was prior intelligence, which they say was provided by the Nigerian government, so there must be targets. And they said it was precision bombing. So somebody coming out and say some people were killed, that's no news. In a situation like this, there must be, collateral damages, and precision strike means that there will be damages. The extent, the nature of which we still expect the Nigerian government and the American government to tell us. So it's not picking up street gossip. Tangaza residents saying some people were killed. No, that's not what we need. What we need is concrete information. Whether it is classified or unclassified, an averagely intelligent person must know that there must have been casualties.